All right, great stuff. Well, hey guys, welcome to the call tonight. We just do these calls every Saturday. No, we used to do them Saturday a long time ago. It was every Sunday night, I guess. Sunday with Tracy and I. One time I used to do them Saturday back in the day. So subconsciously, Saturday came up in my mind. So I'm back from a couple weeks off touring Ontario, Canada. My son and I took off. So thought we'd come back here and have a great jam. For those of you that don't know Brett, you will know him by the end of the night. I got to know him in a very interesting way. And this is one of the most beautiful things I love about social media. You know, you become friends with strangers with a click of a button. Isn't that amazing? Then all of a sudden, strangers become friends. And that's pretty amazing. So once upon a time ago, I'm not sure whose button was hit, me chasing Brett or Brett chasing me, probably me chasing Brett. Saw a couple posts of his. Actually, I saw more than a couple posts, to be truthfully honest with you, going through the news feed and Facebook, and really interesting stuff. And I thought, man, he was onto something there. He was promoting some software that could generate a lot of traffic and things like that. And I just kind of, never really jumped all over it at the time. And then there was one day I just reached out to Brett and I said, I think we need to have a talk. Maybe not in those exact words, but we did get together and talk. And that's the beautiful thing about social media. And if you have the courage to do what Brett and I did, we were two strangers, man. Two strangers on a Facebook news feed. And all of a sudden, instead of just sitting there typing back and forth, we decided to click on a button and have a video conversation. And I still remember a conversation about one of the first conversations I had with him. And we were talking, Brett, you might remember that. We're talking about software. You're promoting a software at the time that was generating all kinds of, interesting leads and traffic of some sort of thing. You're promoting it in a very interesting way. And you explained a little bit about that. Originally, I thought it was yours. I thought you were developing it. And then I discovered that you were in alignment with another company. So anyhow, I was pretty excited to get to know Brett. He's a really wonderful guy. He's a great human being. When you hear a little bit about his background, I didn't know he was in the military, man. I mean, look at those tattoos on his arms. So you can tell he's marked. He's been in the military. So basically, we got to thank him for that. Brett, thank you so much for serving your time and doing what you did for the country. And, whether you went over there and actually shot somebody or not, that really doesn't matter. But good, that's a good thing there. You don't have to carry that burden with you. But other people, man, like, military people really freak me out. My brother was an MP in the armed forces here in Canada. I'm the small, skinny version of my brother. He's big. He's 6'3", 240 pounds. And he was a police officer for 38 years in the police force. But man, the stories he told me about being an MP in the armed forces, pretty amazing stuff. And the training was there. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to sit back, relax, and listen to Brett's story. Brett, you can introduce yourself as far as, your background with the military. I'm fascinated by military dudes. So tell us a little bit about that. What got you, mentally shape-shifted to want to even join the military? I wouldn't do it. I'm just being totally honest with you. I probably wouldn't do it when I was 19 or 20 or 21. Canadians, we were never brought up in that kind of mindset, that thought process. We only heard about it and, we knew a little bit about it. And growing up, I mean, I'm older than you, Brett, probably a few years older than you. Meaning a few years older than you. And I remember as a young boy, we would, got to tell you this quick story. I remember as a young boy, my parents migrated from Ireland back in 1955 to Canada. They came over on a ship. And so my parents stopped off in Canada, and the rest of my aunts and uncles, they went on to Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Upper Darby. To be honest with you, a lot of them kind of migrated there. And I remember my dad and I back in, say, 73, 74, 75, my dad would take me out of school, believe it or not, and we would drive down to Philadelphia. It would be about an 8-9 hour drive from Toronto, Canada. And I remember as a young boy laying in the back seat, and then I'd kind of come up for her every now and then because I was, laying down, reading a book or something while my dad was driving the full 8-9 hours to Philadelphia from Toronto. But I remember back in probably, I'm not sure exactly when the war kind of came about, the end, 72, 73, 74. But even still, I remember seeing copious amounts of military machinery traveling along the highways, coming back, I guess, in some which way, shape, or form, whether they were coming off ships or coming off planes or whatever. But there was a lot of military machinery cruising around, the eastern ports of the United States of America back in the early 70s. And we never saw that in Canada. That was totally G.I. Joe for me. I just never seen anything like that in my life. And so up in Canada, we never really talked about going into the military. It was never a big thing. I guess Canada was famous for, draft dodgers. I guess Canada was really famous for draft dodgers. A lot of people that had families didn't want to come. They came up to Canada and hid out for a few years, and then went back to the United States to avoid being recruited like MLM. People in 9-to-5 jobs, they run back to work so they're not recruited by us out there on the internet and MLM programs. I'm being sarcastic as I say that, but Brett, why don't you give us a rundown, man? I mean, give us a little bit of history of your life, where you grew up, what's happening with you, and why did you get involved in the military, and then what was the turning point that brought you into MLM? And we'll just kind of coast from there, man, and have a great night. And once again, thank you for taking the time to show up tonight. I know you're battling a little element there that we won't be giving an announcement for tonight, but we don't want to see everyone put masks on their face on the call, but it's all, man. Let's hear
the other C word. Yeah.
The other C word. That's right. There you go, brother. Hey, let us have it, man. What's going on with you? What's your life look like since you got started here on planet Earth?
Well, so first I want to say that your Facebook avatar is extremely accurate to your face. I just want to say that. It is on
and
point.
Here's the avatar that claps.
Right. Military. Well, I can tell you I didn't wake up one day and said, I want to be a Marine today. That didn't happen. Just like I didn't wake up and say, I want to be a network marketer. That didn't happen either. But I got into some trouble back in the day when I was a young buck. And I decided it was probably the only thing that was going to get me out of trouble. And it was pretty accurate. So without getting into too much detail, it was a decision that I made, that I brought to the powers that be. And if I were to do this, would you remove this from my history? Right.
What a deal closer, man. That's
right.
Pretty smooth. Hey?
Started earlier. If I would you.
You started early, bro. And when you're closing the government, that's like awesome. You like walk on water, man. Hola Salima. Go ahead.
Oh man. So thankfully they accepted that offer. And a few months later, I went to Paris Island for boot camp. Came out a brand new man 13 weeks later, and spent 4 years. Went overseas, see many countries, didn't see any combat. After that 4-year stint, I began my career in corrections here in Pennsylvania.
Right on.
So I did 18 years in corrections, retired from that in 2012 when my daughter was born. I did some mobile DJ work. I was in a band. I was a singer for a local rock band,
wow,
which was really cool. We had a nice 9-year run. We opened up for some national acts. We opened up for Kicks. We opened up for Cinderella. It was
wow, dude, that's
80s,
awesome.
like local
that's
fair
great,
stuff.
though.
You know
the
what
best,
I mean?
the best genre ever. The best years, man.
Yeah, it was.
Go
cool.
ahead.
So in 2017. I was doing the DJ stuff and the band stuff in that time frame. And a friend of mine, I was actually her booking manager for her tattoo studio. And this is all her work. But it was part of the perks. I didn't pay for any of this. I got perks, so.
Good score. Good score.
But she brought this product to me because, and it was health and wellness, right? So I haven't always lived the healthiest life. So, and she would call me early in the morning, and I would never answer. And because I wasn't up, I wasn't awake. And she's like, I want you to try this. Right. So I'm like, all right. I tried it. And honestly, and this isn't a pitch for that because I don't really promote it anymore. I use it, but I don't promote it. But it pretty much had a serious effect on me. And I just wanted to give my stuff for free. So I started sharing it a little bit. But it blew up in a good way. And I was one of those guys that saw that freakish success that nobody ever sees who joins an opportunity, right? The problem was I did it all wrong. I pissed a lot of people off. I got blocked and I severed relationships, and but that didn't matter. I was blind to the success. Yeah. I was blind.
Brett, what does that look like? Paint that canvas. What does it look like? You said you did it all wrong. What is the definition of wrong and what you were doing, man? Paint the picture.
Painful strategies, reaching out, doing the old school tactics, doing things that usually don't work. But I was fortunate enough to find a couple other leaders that I impacted with the product who became just like me. And that's where the success came from. Not all from me, it was the team.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I mean, in the process, it was painful. Like it began to be, it's not fun. It's not fun no more. Like, oh, I got to message these people. And my upline, like, was literally, we would have these little get-togethers. Like they had a fifth wheel at a river lot. And we go over there in the summertime and we'd have these like little sit downs, and we would literally just copy and paste scripts to 100 people like during our time. And I'm thinking, I don't want to do this. Like, I just don't want to do this way. You know what I mean? And I invested in myself and got outside education from a mentor. I paid for my own education, like on the real deal. On the real deal with marketing.
Wow.
And when I brought that education back to these upline people, I kind of got the brush off with it. Like, you know, and they're reaching down below me into my team and influencing them. And I'm trying to change their mindset and strategies on what to do.
Right.
And it was conflicting, you know what I mean? Then there was some shady stuff that went down. I'm not going to get into all that, but once the shady stuff went down with the upline, I blocked the whole upline all the way up to the bottom of the CEO of the company, because I had made like second to top rank in a year and a half.
Nice.
I had 2 Cadillacs from the company. I got all the getaways. You know what I mean? The CEO knew who I was. Like, it was one of those things, and it was freakish. It's not the norm, right? Yeah. For somebody that just enters the industry. So I was starting basically from square one at that point, but I couldn't do it because of stupid compliance issues. I couldn't like come out with anything else like openly because of, you know, are you
talking about internet marketing now, where the company is just so Gestapo that they don't want you doing any internet marketing and keep all the stuff off the internet?
Yes. And it doesn't matter. It didn't matter even if it's the same industry. It could be a completely different industry.
Sure.
But if it's on my Facebook profile, which they thought they had a right to, if we're a promoter for their company, it was crazy, like total like thumb on you, right? And I'm like, okay, so I'm on the DL now. I'm on the down low. Like, I'm trying to talk to people and trying to share this thing that you started talking about with this software, right? I'm starting. Yeah. This is in 2019 now. So we went from 2017 to 2019, but I'm still getting paid well. And I got these 2 car payments. And if you don't qualify, you don't get the auto bonus and you can't make the car payments. And that's how they suck you. That's how they suck you in, right? They suck you in with the auto bonus.
Yeah.
So
at least. Yeah. At least.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's when I met a good friend of mine who I just met for the first time in Vegas a few weeks back. With the whole C word thing happening, our events got shut down. We couldn't travel. But it was the first time I met this guy who introduced me to that platform. But anyway,
hey, can I ask you a question about that C word without bringing up the C word? Was that stuff spreading in Vegas too, by chance?
I don't know. I mean, I didn't become symptomatic with it for a full week. I was home for a full week before I got it this past time.
Okay, gotcha, man. Okay.
And just so everybody knows, like, some of you guys out there might know, some of you might not, but last year in January, I got it for the first time, and it put me in the hospital for 64 days.
Wow.
And I was intubated almost 2.5 weeks. And I was like my system was like shutting down. My kidneys were shutting down. My BP tanked, like everything was going wrong. And during that time of, and we're going to get a little spiritual here, if that's okay, just for
do what you want to do. I feel you right now. I know where you're going.
So during that time of intubation, like, I believe that I had a near-death experience and I was in the presence of God, because like I remember it like it was real. And I entered this like bright white space. I don't mean to sound so cliche, but it was
Oh,
like,
good, man. Let it go.
you know, uh and I saw a silhouette of my father. I saw like the silhouette of my stepson who we lost in 2020.
Mm.
And I'm like, I know where I'm at. Like it's my soul, like it's all mental. It's like, okay, I know where I am. And now I'm saying like out loud. I think I'm out loud, but maybe it might be just I'm thinking it and he can hear me, but I'm like, I'm not ready. What do I have to do? Like I'm not ready. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And the voice like spoke to me and said, follow my quote, follow my word, and I will guide you, unquote. Like that was spoken to me. And that's the last thing I remember. And when I woke up, it was the first thing I wanted to tell everybody in the hospital. Like, and from that point forward, like my life has completely changed since then. And I try to run my businesses by kingdom principles, and I try to, you know, if you get into the word, you can see where it talks. And I'm not going to get into scripture, but you can see where it talks about business and money in there. You know what I mean? Like it all comes together. So I'm learning that as I go, and I'm trying to do all the right things and to give back as I elevate my life and my family's life, and manifest all good things. And that's how it's been going. So that's that.
No, that's pretty good. Hey, you got now. You got to regroup, right? That's kind of gets you. I get when I start getting emotional, I start getting into those, life-changing breakthrough experiences that the average person can't psychologically relate to in an explanation. After I tell people some of my very interesting chapters in my life, where I was ready to exit the planet by choice. I was that far away
Yeah.
from doing myself in,
Yeah.
and
Glad you didn't.
well, thank you for that, but and I'm glad you're here too as well. I'm sure everyone's glad we're both here, hopefully. So, but I know after you tell those stories, you just kind of got to like stop for a minute. It's hard to get back on a roll again. You just got to regroup, because it's almost like when you tell those stories, there's a part of you that's leaving your body, telling it and just going back into the very deep, subconscious realm of association to what was going on in that time and space.
Yeah, and I don't
So,
mean to sound like this time when it came around, like,
that was
we
great, man.
have home tests. My wife tested me positive. So right away the PTSD sets in, like, oh, here we go again. Right. Like, how bad is it going to get this time?
Yeah.
But I didn't wait this time like I did the first time. I was like on it pretty much from the gate, and took care of it. But
No, that's good. So in the network marketing industry, we can kind of just move a little bit from the COVID and I brought up the C word, the COVID and the light. Let's talk about the light of network marketing, man. What does your day look like? Like you're a network marketer, I'm a network marketer. People often wonder, not everybody, and I'm really amazed at why people don't ever ask me this question. Do you know I've never really been asked this question? What does my day look like? What does it look like to be Val Smith in the day? What does your activity look like? Now, I can't brag about it like I used to be able to brag about it, because for me, I've there's nothing I need to do anymore in this industry, really, for me. I mean, we did everything that I think that I need to do. I'm here because the only thing that keeps me in this industry, because I'm in another industry that just is beyond lucrative, blows anything out of the network marketing industry out of the water. But my wife asks me, she says, well, why are you doing this? Like, why do you waste your time with all these people on the internet? She says, they don't like you, they don't care about you. I mean, that she's just saying it's all superficial, a whole bunch of fake, phony people all over social media. You join these, this is awkward. Yeah, this is my wife, man. She's giving me a lecture on this stuff. She says, why are you wasting your time with all these people, man? She says, like, you don't need to be doing this. We got the world in the palm of our hands in an interesting way. We don't need money. We can never spend it in this lifetime. And so the whole thing is I don't think she totally understands, but this industry gave us everything we have originally. It shaped and molded me, and taught me how not to be. It gave me, for me, I can't speak for you, Brett, but for me, it gave me the opportunity to escape the 9 to 5 world, the world of being a scholastic student. It gave all those things that I don't like. And a lot of people get offended when I say I don't like college and university. I don't like 9 to 5 jobs. I really, really don't. And it was really funny because I just came back from a reunion. We can still jam. I'm gonna hit you up with some questions, but I just gotta tell you something. So I went back to Ontario a few weeks ago, and I was there for like a week and a half, and I saw some of my friends I haven't seen in 37 years. So I'm taking myself out of my body as I'm talking about this and putting myself back into Ontario as I'm sitting here. And, the conversations, it's so amazing when you're old and wise, if I may use the term wise. I don't know if that's the right word to use, but I'll say old and wise. The transition of coming back to people 37 years later, we didn't shake hands when we saw each other. It was amazing. We all hugged each other. There was a hug. And we would never do that back in the 80s or, back in high school or when we were 22, it would always be a handshaker. Hey, bro, how you doing? But everybody really had a strong appreciation. And there was a continuous conversation as though we'd never been separated for 37 years. And it might have been like I hadn't seen these guys in 3 weeks. It was just it was undescribable how that played out, and we just all clicked again as if we weren't talking about or dwelling on we did talk about the fact it was 30 odd years, 40 years for some, but it was just it was almost like it was just 3 weeks. It just came together so naturally again. And so where am I going with all of this? What were we talking about? I get myself so sidetracked. I was just talking about going back to Ontario and seeing these people and just, feeling so at home and feeling so comfortable with these people again, even though they're now, when I saw them, they were 19 and 21, and now they're married. And not only are they married, they have grandchildren. So it was all these years had gone by, and it just kind of, again, you expected to feel that kind of stranger feeling, but I never felt 1 ounce of strangeness with any of those people. And if people only gave themselves an opportunity to connect with people on the internet in that way, instead of having an agenda on a daily basis to go out and recruit and sponsor and I got to promote the product. I mean, just being able to share what you shared tonight, like, guys, well, you're all sitting here watching this right now. This is part of the marketing. Like, most people don't realize it. Brett just told the story, but he wasn't talking about the marketing. But that's the part that I would be attracted to. If he came and pitched, or if I saw him pitching all the time on Facebook, which he does, he pitches, we all pitch on Facebook. But if I didn't get the opportunity to spend quality time with the real person, man, I'm not into his personality, or probably he's not into my personality, because who wants to be around a pitch person all the time, right? So it's nice to know that people suffer. It's nice to know that people almost died in a hospital bed. It's nice to know that people, had dysfunctional marriages, or people were stationed in different parts of the world in the military, or people have kids and all these things. And that's why one of the things that I do, and I think it's so important, if you will give yourself the opportunity to learn a very simple skill. It's simple for me, but, go puke your brains out, or do the shakes, or, take a Tylenol, whatever you need to do what you need to do to suffer your anxiety attack. But what I do is I invite people to a Zoom call one-on-one, and just like I'm blocking you guys all out. You're all here watching us, but it's just Brett and I'm not even thinking about you all. But I just sit here and talk to Brett and find out a little bit about him. And this is what creates the relationship. When you can be in an environment where somebody's willing to tell you their deepest secrets, almost. And it's amazing how that happens. Brett doesn't have to share any of that stuff he shared earlier about, his time where he felt he left his body and spent time in a light with figures. Nobody needs to talk about any of this stuff. But this is what we all want. I think in 2023, as we get a little bit older in life, I think we want our story to be told, because there is going to be a time when we do expire. Yes, every single one of you on this call listening, whether you're in Facebook or YouTube, or you're on the live chat, we are going to expire at some point in our lives. And, one of the things that my brother and I were talking about, and again, this all has to do with marketing. If you have the deep sense to understand what's being said here, one of the saddest things that, we brought up in the conversation about my mom when she died. Not so much my dad when he died, but one of the things we do in our family is we don't have funerals. We don't have celebrations. We just do what we do, and we keep it within the family. We don't invite relatives. Nobody comes to celebrate. We don't talk about it. It just becomes a family thing. That's all we do. It's not that we can't afford a funeral. It's just not necessary for what it is we need to accomplish. So anyhow, my whole point being is, my brother said to me, he said, when mom died, he said, how many stories she took with her? How many unanswered questions she took with her? A lot of these things we'll never know. We'll never really know. It's almost like you have to be an archaeologist again to discover the dynamics of certain things we wanted to find out about our childhood. And even when my dad died, we never had an opportunity to really talk to him about his mom. His mom died when he was 14 years old. But again, these are all marketing things, right? So these are important things. If you can get another human being to the point where they talk about the things that I'm talking about now, what Brett was kind enough to share with us now openly, and not feel nervous and scared about all the bullshit, hyperactivity, salesman pitch crap that goes along with marketing on the internet, that's trash. But when you can bring two strangers together and they can literally talk about intimate things that neither of them have no business talking about or sharing with another stranger yet, maybe down the road, that's when the magic starts to happen in marketing. And that's why it's so important, guys. It's so important. Everybody's sitting there, well, hey, do you got a script? Or hey, can you show me how to write content? I mean, yes, I get that. But you know what? For me, what's worked for me, and I'm not going to say it works for everybody, but from my perspective, I would rather, instead of writing content and trying to twist words around or be a wordsmith, I'd rather get Brett in a Zoom room so I can see his body language, see his tattoos, I can see the background, I can see the wood, I can see Champion in the background, everything. I can see his microphone and say, hey, yeah, I got one of those microphones too. Yeah, well, isn't that amazing? And Tracy has the same microphone. We all have the same microphone. So now you start building common ground with people, and even when you're on the telephone, this is really important. I'll shut up in a second. But when you're on the telephone or you're in a messenger call, it's so important to listen, not just to the person you're talking to, but listen to what's going on in the background. Do you know that I can tell if somebody's smoking a cigarette or smoking a joint? Do you know that I can tell if somebody's drinking a beer? Do you know I can tell if somebody's eating, ruffled potato chips? I'm listening to every detail, the breathing, I hear it all. I listen for birds in the background. I hear whether they're outside or inside a house. Is there a female in the house with you, or is there a male in the house with you? These are all conversational pieces that bring people closer together. And when you bring people closer together, it builds the trust, it builds the like, it builds the relationship, and you get to take it to another place. So what I was talking about before I got myself sidetracked into a whole different tangent, is I was talking about what does it look like on a daily basis. I said, people don't ask me, what does my day look like? And I said, like, my day doesn't look like a whole lot of special things now, but my day was pretty amazing back in the day. If I ever detailed what I was doing to personally sponsor over 2,000-3,000 people into a company. And I would basically be bringing people, prospects from an 800 number or from USA Today, because I'm taking you back a little bit in time, social media, whatever it is, doesn't matter. I'd be bringing them into a conference call line. And we didn't have video back in the day, but I'd bring them into a conference call line, and I'd bring 5 at a time or 6 at a time or 2 at a time, whatever it is. But I always made sure, because I always believe that, to sit there and do 3-way calls with your upline 5, 6, 7 times a day, you're going to burn yourself out. So I said, well, I got to learn how to talk. I got to learn how to come out of my skin and forget the upline. I don't want an upline for anything anymore, believe it or not. I got myself in a position where the upline needed me more than I needed them. And Brett, you'd be the same way too. Your upline will need you more than even company owners need Brett now. I can see that, he's doing a lot of stuff for what he's affiliated with. But anyhow, those are the things that, are the big questions. What are we doing on a daily basis? So Brett, what are you doing on a daily basis? What does it look like, man, for you when you're building a business? What does it kind of look like? And even when you take a break, what does that look like? Are you spending time with I think you have a daughter, right?
Yeah, I have an 11-year-old daughter and wife and 2 dogs. And
yeah.
So I do want to address something. I do want to address something on what you just said in regards to the connection, like with my story, how I shared my story. So not that long ago, maybe a month or 2 ago, somebody booked a demo with me, and I was doing a demo for that particular thing that I do. And I did get into my story, and I shared it with her because I believe part of the reason why I'm still here is to share that story. That's part of the reason. Okay. So when I did share it, do you want to know what she said? She said, you should have said that first.
Wow.
It just solidifies what you said, you know, and then everything that were to follow that, she would have been more receptive to it because I would have changed her state. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
state of mind was totally, she was, you're, sometimes we do a demo and a pitch, and then later on we start talking about our story, and it's kind of like, wow, yeah, no, she's right on, man. Talk about it first if you can. Get to know people. Like, that's, find out where they're at.
You're right. And you know what? So my day, here's what I've learned. I just want to give a shout out to my buddy, the Blakester. He's been doing this a whole lot longer than me.
Yeah.
And there's certain things that he specializes in, and I'm blessed to have him with me in this journey. But branding is where it's at. So these people that just join the industry and think that they can compete on their chapter 1 with somebody who's in their chapter 31, they can't, because there's power in a list, right? These people who are on these leaderboards have lists, and the people coming into the industry should not be comparing themselves to those people. They should not be basing their success or failures on what they see other people do or don't do, right? And hopefully they can get connected to a couple of them so they can learn something, you know. But my day, once, everybody should have systems, everybody should have a certain DMO throughout the day of certain things that they must do in order to be consistent. But the problem is, they have to be consistent doing the right things. If they're consistently doing the wrong things, what good is that? Right? So they have to make sure they got the right information and they do those things consistently. Right? So my day is like, I wake up, I warm up my algorithm, if you will, right? So like, I'm going to be on social media. I'm going to be on Facebook. I'm going to post on LinkedIn. I might do a live video on something that I do, and I might broadcast it to YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, like get it out there to all the platforms, right? But it all comes down to brand. No matter what you're pitching, no matter what it is, your brand has to be on point, and your social media has to be set up, if you're serious about it, has to be set up in a way that people have no question about your solution to a particular problem.
Yes.
And those people that have the problem that your solution is for, those are the people that you should be talking to. Not everybody, because everybody isn't your customer. Those people that you can serve with what you have. That's all that matters. And the problem, like everybody says, well, success likes speed, right? The momentum, and to a certain degree, that's true. But when you're coming into the industry as a rookie, or even as like a 1, 2, 3 year person coming into the industry, like all the pain points are the same. Everybody deals with the same problems, right? I think they should just get it out of their head that I got to get the sale, got to get the sale, got to get the sale. They're attaching success to the sale, to the close, right? That's not success. I mean, sure, we want the close, but that's not what it's really about, honestly. And
yes,
that's, but my day is like branding, a couple posts. I might work on some websites. I might work on some email campaigns. If I take a break, I go outside with a dog or something like that. But this seat right here is where all the magic happens. Like, this is my domain.
Where I see you, man, always in that seat. Yeah, that's where I know you from.
Yeah,
that's pretty amazing. So what tools are you using right now? You don't have to name companies, but you can name the tools that you're using in order to, elevate your business. What type of tools are you using in the industry right now that allow you to independently sit there? And the other thing too, so remember that, the tools, and here's another thing. Are you in constant communication with your upline in a business? Do you feel you need your upline to support your cause in a really big way in what you do, or do you think you're autonomous enough to be able to, skillful enough to be able to go out there and be a Marine on the beach and go solo?
I'm glad you asked that, because I just got done talking to Robert a couple of days ago. Like, I'm stepping into my power 100%. Like, I'm totally running solo. I don't need anyone to do what I do. And I mean, I got the support if I need it. Don't get me
Sure,
wrong.
yeah, absolutely.
The culture with what I do is fantastic. I'm just saying that right now. But I've learned enough. And when you partner with somebody and you're doing the mutual thing together, and you have the same mindset, same goals, same strategy, same method, when
Yeah.
you have somebody with you doing that, man, it's powerful. Like, you can get a lot done. You can collaborate. You can come up with new ideas. You don't have to think all by yourself. You can do it with somebody. And if they've been doing it longer than you, that's even better.
Well, you can be held accountable too, right? The beautiful thing about
Absolutely.
having a sparring partner is, you better be on your tiptoes. You're going to take a kick to the side of the head, or you're going to take one in the midsection you don't want, right? So, I think accountability is really good, and if you can find somebody that's playing at the pace you're playing at, but I got to be careful how I say that, because some people are in the industry, but they're paid in the industry, but they're not in the game. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like 20 years of joining programs, putting 20 in that, 80 in that, 70 in this, but there's no engagement whatsoever. You know what I mean? And that's what I said in a quote the other day on my Facebook page. You either belong or you fit in. You
Yeah.
got to decide, right? And
Yeah.
I never, ever, ever, and I make this clear to everyone in my family. Don't give me, like, even my wife knows not to give me orders or tell me what to do. I have a challenge. I have a real hard time with that. Will listen if things are done, the way I want them done. But the whole point being is I never want to fit in. I used to fit in for too many years of my life, for me personally, and I totally hate that person. I hated myself for years. It took me years to overcome the fact that I hated myself so much, because I knew there was something inside of me. I knew I could be an incredible leader at something, and but I was just shy, scared, introverted, paralyzed mentally, not willing to speak out and get the words out, or not thinking anyone would even respect the words. But man, I look back and some days I just want to beat myself up for being so scared and introverted and suffering anxiety attacks. But I can't beat myself up. You just got to love that person and nurture that person. But sometimes I really get angry at myself for allowing 20 years of my life to go through that. For about 18, 19, 20 years of just experiencing that anxiety and the scaredness and being a coward and being afraid and being frail in the industry and not willing to step out. Man, did I ever want to kick the shit out of myself for doing that? Excuse the language, guys, but that's how I feel. I just can't believe I was even that human being today, because now I have no time. I don't have a lot of time for that anymore. So
I feel you on that. Yeah.
so it's so anyhow, go back. What tools are you using, man? You're doing AI stuff. You got some AI. What are the advantages of using AI for people that might be exploring AI technology? There's all kinds of different companies popping up out of the woodwork. What are the advantages to AI that you could think of that would really, if somebody said, hey, I wanted to automate my business, or maybe I'm not a great writer. What does AI allow us to do? Tell me that. What does AI allow us to do, where a human being might not have that skill set, the capacity to sit there and mentally, scholastically write all this incredible content?
Well, to put it in regards to the AI and the writing and the copy that it can help with someone's brand, or putting their thoughts into actual words that will attract attention, or because that's what we want. We want to attract attention with our efforts, with what we're doing, right? So I can tell you that, and I'm sure a lot of you guys out there on this who are watching have spent some time on open AI, or you've done things with AI somewhere, because there's a bunch of different variations of AI out there, and some of them specialize in certain things. But just in regards to the copy, like, you can put one sentence in there and say, write me a Facebook post about how important it is to brand yourself for your business. Like one sentence. And it will come up with this amazing paragraph and focal points of why branding is important for your business. Something that might take you 30 minutes to put together and have it grammatically correct.
Yes.
It'll do it in 30 seconds, you know, and you just hit the copy button and put it wherever you want it. You know, it's insane. Something that's coming into play right now, and I don't think that anybody else is doing, is being able to create a clone of yourself, a doppelganger, if you will, to you, like it's you powered by AI. It's Val AI, right? So you would answer a few questions like in the onboard, and then it gets an idea about you, right?
It profiles you, basically creates a profile of who you are and how you would speak and how you would think and what you would say, right?
Yes, how you think, how you talk, and everything. It'll even take it'll ask for a writing sample, and you put that in there, like from a Facebook post or something like that. It will analyze that. And then the really cool part I'm looking forward to is the leadership quality of this particular product. Because not only does it learn about you, it will also learn about your company, whatever it is. So your products, your pricing, your compliance, your like everything about your company, you enter this stuff one time and your team is now trained to answer for you as you.
It's a true duplication process, because I've always been telling people, you know, the whole concept of duplication in network marketing has been a lie for years. All the gurus that talk about duplication have been lying to people for years. The only thing ever duplicated successfully in the history of network marketing is failure. And the reason why I said that, because if you understand what the word duplication means, it means, you know, exact duplication of the photocopy principle. You put, there's duplication right there. These are two old products from like the 90s, all right, early 2000s. But these are two twin products, right? That's duplication, but I'm not duplicatable. You're not duplicatable. But now with AI technology, it may be able to challenge that theory that duplication can actually work. I always said replication would work or delegation would work, but the whole thing is everything's got to be duplicatable. Has always been bullshit in the industry for years. I don't, you know, I just, anyone that wants to debate that, I'm going to make them look like a liar. But now with artificial intelligence, you can, if you know, I talked to your buddy there too that owns the company, and we were talking all about that you can literally clone yourself, your personality, and then all of a sudden you could be in bed sleeping. And when you're building an international flavor to your business, you got this clone of yourself doing customer support or answering questions or texting back what it needs to text back based on what your thought or how you would basically operate in doing that. So that was pretty cool. Hey.
Yeah. And the ability, you know, when the technology is integrated into a marketing system. So like, and again, like there's a whole bunch of different marketing systems out there. Like, and they all have the basic stuff like websites and autoresponders and like SMS and all the tools, you know, that are integrated into the system. But when you have the AI integrated into each tool, like I just started a campaign in the Philippines and I created a splash page that's in their native language because it translated my English to their language.
Isn't that cool, eh?
So like I couldn't do that without AI, you know what I mean?
So yeah, no, it's just all this new technology that'll be presented by various different companies over a period of time, because it'll get very competitive, I would believe, over a period of time as one pioneers it, others will, you know, jump on board. And it just allows the expedition, you know, just to be able to expedite the whole process so much faster. You know, before, back in the day, we used to have to go, when I got started in 1978, we didn't have everything we're talking about today is like total sci-fi. I had to go to a Holiday Inn meeting, dude. It was, no, for real, it's all sci-fi. We had to go to a Holiday Inn meeting. We get a bunch of, it's from high school, and we would go to the Holiday Inn meeting and make that happen there in that time and space. A guy would be staying at the front of the room. All that stuff was pretty amazing back in the day, and that's just the way it was back in that time and space. And now I can't do anything right now for you. And now back in that time and space, here we are today, and we're talking about things that when I was 15, 16 years old, didn't even know any of this stuff would ever exist in the future in my lifetime. It was all just, Star Wars wasn't even around. Well, Star Wars, I guess, just came out when I got started in network marketing. So that was all kind of freaky, right? But Leanne, you brought up
the Jetsons had it figured out.
The Jetsons had it figured out, man. The Jetsons had it figured out, dude. They just hit buttons and food would come out of walls and everything. It was, they had no gas stations to go to, man. They were just cruising there on, geothermal power, whatever it was they were cruising. But Leanne here had a comment. She was absolutely spot on. You can't duplicate your upline. So a lot of the, I'm here to tell you tonight, I make people mad all the time on the internet. Anyone that's telling you that you need to, to follow a duplicatable process, you might want to correct them. And that was always a hard thing for me. School was always hard for me too, because I saw the world through different eyes. I'd sit in the classroom, I'd be the guy that would be looking out the window, and the teacher would ask me a question and I would say, I don't know the answer to it, because I wasn't paying.
That's me too.
Yeah, So I'd be looking out. I'm sitting here thinking like, this is, I'm sitting here. This is like, this is not where I want to be. I want beautiful things in life. I was living in La La Land, without taking narcotics. I was living in La La Land, and I thought, what it would be like to have a beautiful life. And I just didn't really gravitate to the academic. And so my point being is, network marketing for me was always hard in the beginning, because I always bought into the self-help movement, which is a crock of shit. For me, it was just there's guys out there on the internet that talk about quantum physics and that they have no idea what quantum physics is. They have no idea what the law of attraction is. They saw them try to explain it one time, and you can't cheat quantum physics. Quantum physics is the way it is, but they were talking about manipulating it. You don't manipulate it. So anyhow, just a lot of the leadership in this industry, they sound good, they smell good, they have materialistic things, but a lot of them have the materialistic things in this industry. They get to jump in first class airplanes and have nice dinners and be at the top of hotels in Dubai or in Singapore, whatever it is. But I think, I don't mind telling you this, I think a lot of them, I won't say all of them because there's some great leaders out there too, but I think a lot of them, especially the ones that are pretty active on Facebook, bullshitted their way to the top. That's just me. I can say whatever I want. Nobody's going to hurt me about that, but the average person won't say that. But a lot of the things. So my whole point being is, I had to deprogram myself from a lot of the stuff that I was learning from my uplines over the years, because I was buying into their process, and just it was almost like a Jimmy Jones cult or a David Koresh type thing. You fall in love with the leaders, and you hear this name, and there she is, and there he is, and you get on the call, it's a gospel according to whoever, and we got to do this, and then we got to follow the script. And I had this one guy, I just wanted to, he was telling me, saying, our company's got 700,000 people in it now, worldwide. And I said, well, your company has 7,000 signups in it, doesn't have 700,000 active members. And he says, oh no, it's 700 active members, and 700,000 active members. And I just, and I didn't want to beat him up too bad, right? But I just wanted to say, where is your source? Where's your source of validation? You will never find 700,000 members in any company. You might find 700,962, something like that, but there will never be 700,000 exactly. And if there is, it's only going to be for about 2 seconds. So the whole point, and they're saying, well, my upline's making 50,000. Well, your upline's not making 50,000. Your upline's making 33,000. How do I know that? Because I know who his upline is. I know them. We talk. But he's trying to sell me, well, my upline's making 50,000 a month in the program. So this is all the bullshit that goes on in the industry too, right? That you have to sift your way through it. And it's really sad. It breaks my heart. But I understand it, because I was there too. That naive, innocent, sweet people will share a story, and it's even worse when they say they're Christians and they go to church, and they'll share that story, and it's all fabricated bullshit lies that can be totally proven, right? But they buy into the upline. So you've got to you got to really be careful, because again, we really are all strangers with our own agendas and our own certain ways and stuff like that too. But just to keep buying into all these strangers that you don't know where they live, but they're your upline, and you don't know, how long they've really been in the industry for, but anybody can say anything on a conference call. Any testimonial can be presented at any time. I mean, I can tell you so many stories of people with Photoshop pictures to make themselves look better. I can tell you one chick, I won't even mention her name, out in California there, but she takes the same 5 or 6 Photoshop pictures and she uses them every time she joins a weight loss program. Why would you do that when some of us already saw you use that picture 2-3 years ago in the other weight loss coffee program, or this, a different program, or that powder shake program? So there's just, there's so much manipulation, and that's why sometimes it's really good to be a Yoda and pull yourself out of the deceptiveness and the damaging, toxic part of this industry. And that's why I think it's really important, for people like yourself, Brett, to say that you're solo now. And as fast as you can reach a point where you have the skill set, the confidence, and the ability just to sit at your desk and run your own program, owned by a company, of course, you're using that as the leverage, but to be able to run your own income and have your own game plan going into that company. And you don't need the Zoom calls 6 times a week anymore, because Zoom calls are fading now. They're going to fade for every company out there. You need them for maybe the first 90 days, 60 days, but now the best way to do it is through Messenger. I think the best way is to have a Messenger 1 minute, 30-second video, and then just to be able to have a video on a capture page that boom, 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 boom. And I think, and I was in this discussion with a few people this week, even with compensation plans. I think in the future, remember I said this on tonight's call, if any of you want to, look into the future, as fast as we can get away from convoluted compensation plans, if the compensation plan cannot be explained, I believe, in my biased, arrogant opinion, if a compensation plan cannot be explained in 18 seconds, you've got a crappy compensation plan. That's what I believe. You don't have to buy that. But this is what people need nowadays, because nobody wants to go in the back office. Nobody wants to do research. Nobody wants to read the policies and procedures. Everybody just wants, what do I do? Boom. Give me 10 second. Give me 10-second instructions on what I have to do in order to make money. That's what I'm hearing in 2023. A lot of the educational component side of this industry is becoming, I think, valuable, but obsolete in the sense that people are not interested in that. People are looking for the quick Jetsons. Press a button, boom, TV dinner comes out of a wall. That's what people are looking for. And that's why the crypto craze happened. That's why so many people got burned, scammed, cheated, ripped off, and the FTC and a lot of the federal regulatory bodies came in, is because somebody was smart enough to give people exactly what they want. And the truth is, people don't want the truth. They want to be lied to, and they want to get cheated. They want to get ripped off. I know that sounds really strange, but it's almost like they really, really do. There are people that are subconsciously programmed into, S&M and network marketing to get their, to be abused so they can come out and do what they do best. Oh, well, that company's a scam, or that person's a bad person. I told you. So all these things have to basically amalgamate together in order to create and justify that person's character as a human being, as a complainer, a whiner, an attacker, a predator, whatever it is. We can create our own realities in this industry, and that's a real scary part of this industry that we all have to be very careful of, right? There's a lot of people out there that claim to be what, who they are, but they're not really in a lot of cases. So you have to sift through it. So it's almost like, the network marketing industry, it's got its own little maze. In order to get to the other side, you got to go through the bullshit upline, or you got to go through, crappy company owners, or you got to go through whatever it is, you got to go through it. But, I thank God that I'm in such a position where, and Brett, you are now, I know you are now for sure. Well, but for me, I could walk into any company and become a 7-figure money earner in that company without looking to the left or right. It's just a habit now to be able to make copious amounts of money every day. And that's the level that I think, if you're all looking for something magical to happen in this industry, the magic is going to happen in you. It's not going to happen from me. It's not going to happen from Brett. It's not going to happen from your upline. It's not going to happen from your company owner. It's going to be about you sitting down and saying, okay, what am I willing to sacrifice? Am I willing to give up my anxiety, my fears, my excuses? Am I willing to give up my bad habits and just be able to get in front of your computer and shape and mold a system, a game plan that would work for you, instead of waiting for everyone else to take you to the promised land? Because your Zoom calls are not going to take you to the promised land if you're sitting there on a company Zoom call. It might have back in the day, but the technology is happening too fast that people are not interested in Zooms anymore. They're interested in using technology. The technology is evolving. Brett talked about it with AI. The technology is evolving so fast that people don't have time for Zoom. They have time for building their systems through the AI technology, or whatever it is they're doing, or video presentations, or building their own capture pages. So I'd recommend, honestly, build your own stuff. Be a part of a company, but as fast as you can build your own stuff that is not branding the company.
Yep, right back to branding again.
Yeah, there we go, Brett. Right? Isn't that true? Go back to it. Go talk about that. What do you think? Brand the company, Brett, or brand who?
Brand yourself.
Yeah. Brand yourself and start creating your own tools that are, presented by you, if possible. And if it can't be you, like you heard Brett he brought up the Blakester and I go back probably 10, 12 years. Robert is a great guy, sharp dude, been in the industry for a long time, and he's done some pretty wacky things on stage too in the entertainment industry as well too. I've seen him do some pretty wild things, and we often talk about The Price is Right and a few game shows that he used to live out there in California. But that's Robert and Brett have each other, and in this industry, Tracy and I have each other. What it is we do here. And that's why it's always good to have an accountability partner or a business partner, because they can compensate for your weaknesses, but they can also reel you in when you start going a little bit overboard. I need to be reeled in sometimes, because I can go off in different tangents. So as fast as you can put your team together, instead of saying, well, I'm a part of that team, and I'm a part of that team, and I'm a part of that team. For me, I don't want to be a part of any team that I don't have a say in, that I don't have the opportunity to shape and mold and put my fingerprints on. I think it's so important, right? Because I don't want to sacrifice my belief system, spiritual belief system, because I'm not going to compromise for some, like I come from a Christian background, Pentecostal background. I'm not here to preach Christianity, because I don't believe in organized religion, but that's my background. But my point being is, I don't want to be influenced by somebody else's stuff. I will listen and respect, but I'm not gonna, I need to be accountable for my actions, and we all need to be accountable for our actions and moving forward in what we do. And I just see so many people selling themselves out to other people's agendas and other people's, fitting in. I'm going to fit in, and I'm going to follow these people, the internet gurus. Brett, go ahead.
I'm a firm believer in going against the status quo.
Yeah, man. Why not?
All day. You know what I mean? Like, especially if I can prove my way's better than the status quo, and here's why. You know what I mean? Like, all day.
Well, you brought up something really important, like, and I talk to this with my business partners, like, in anything that I do. And I think this is so important. And this is why I went back to the compensation plan. Like, a lot of stuff's going on in my head about this industry. The last 2 months have been a real breakthrough for me. I'm always getting these little breakthroughs at least once a year in looking at compensation plans. And sometimes you think you have the greatest compensation plan in the world, and it's a great compensation plan, but who's it great to? That's the whole thing. And so I went back to it, and I said, to my partners, we were on a call, and I said, listen, I said, here's the problems with this industry, and it happens in every company. As long as people are sending in questions, and you're seeing the same question coming in daily or weekly or monthly to customer support, there's a problem. And so what Brett said earlier in this presentation tonight is, you've got to eliminate the questions so that there is a definite result or a solution. And if people can't get to the solution, if they have to keep asking questions in order to get to the solution, what's going to happen is they become uncertain, and they lose faith and they lose belief in that system or method of operation based on the fact that they still have questions. So as long as questions are still a part of the equation, it should be this equals this, not this kind of maybe it's like this. Well, because then you see how Brett has his hand by his eyes here. See the body language here? He's thinking. It creates kind of that confusing. Yeah, that's not right. There's something missing there. You can read the body language, right? So you see all these different things in business opportunities. So what I'm going through right now in my little detox world is, how do you create a business opportunity with a kick-ass product, a kick-ass compensation plan, and no questions? If you can do the comp and the product, kick-ass comp, kick-ass product that everybody needs, wants, and desires, and eliminate the questions, bring it to the mainland instead of having a bridge there all the time, bring the landmass together, you're going to win. Like, you can win with that. But as long as you have a mustard seed of doubt, or you question the integrity of the company or the owners or the products or the explanations or the upline or what's being said or what the training components are, as long as those are questions, you can't have success. Or you can, but you can't have the success that you ultimately dreamed of having.
Do you think that you'd be able to get rid of questions? I think there'll always be questions to a degree. I mean,
yeah, I think I can do it, man.
People, I'm saying, like, people who aren't like in the industry, like they're just coming in, right?
Yeah.
Man, if you can do that,
I think I can do it, bro. Like, I busted my butt on this for the last month in my head. And I really think I can, because I look at this industry and it's so convoluted. And the industry is full of products that are not necessary. Like, this is, so you have to find a product that is a part of somebody's daily habitual pattern. And it's definitely not health and nutritional products. I just have to say that. You know, I'm going to say that health and nutritional products are important to a certain group of people.
5%.
Yeah, 5%. Yeah, maybe for you too, even. But you know, for me, I could care less about health and nutritional products. I just go to Costco, honestly. So I'm not thinking. I'm not even thinking of that, because I eat junk food. But I'm talking about getting it to a point where it's like a drive-through. If you can have a business opportunity where you go, you place the order, like McDonald's drive-through, you go to the window, you pay the money, and you go to the other window and you get your product, and you eat that crappy, wholesome, junky food, and you feel really good about it. That's it, man. There's no question. When I go to McDonald's after I get off this call tonight, Brett, for a fillet of fish, large fries, and a medium Coke, I'll tell you, I have no questions, but I'm freaking satisfied. I'm satisfied, and I have no problem with them taking my money. I don't send a message into customer support and say, McDonald's, I don't understand why the salt was like this, or my fries were 4 inches instead of 3. I don't do, I'm a happy person. And this is what we need to bring to the industry, not filler. The industry has been full of crap for years, full of shitty products for years, excuse the language, full of just junk. The industry's been full of junk, and there's great health and nutritional products, but I'm saying the industry has been full of junk, you know, for years. Junky advice, junky gurus, junky leaders, you know, everything. So now we've got to look at the model of Tim Hortons in Canada, or McDonald's or Wendy's. And then if you're pissed off about your meal, then contact, you know, customer support. But if you can get that formula down where there's no questions, where you can basically say, and it can be done so easily, because what you do is you create the simplest compensation plan that is so simple for everyone to understand it. And you can do some manipulations to it, but you can do it in 18 seconds. And then you just got to find that magical product that I look at. So I see the presentation, or I watch a 1-minute, 30-second video, and I say, yeah, I need that product. I'm using it daily. But now I'd rather get paid. And again, it couldn't be, you can't do it with health and nutritional products. Health and nutritional is a customized specialty genre. All right. But we need to find that, utility, if I may say utility. You know what? I have to pay, and I'm not here promoting utilities because I don't know of any utilities out there, but you know what? Every month I have to pay for gas. I have to pay for hydro to keep, I have to pay for my internet. I have to pay for my cell phone. If you can find a product that is a have to, whatever that is, a have to product, the person has to pay the bill whether they want to or not, or they're disconnected from it. You know what it would be like for people to be disconnected from their internet, for example? Pain. That'd be painful. I'd lose my freaking mind. I'd be in a psychiatric ward if I had lost the internet. You know, social media. So anyhow, I'm just saying that's the secret, and nobody in the history of network marketing has created that answer yet, because everybody's looking for the best comp plan. Well, it's got 15 levels of matching bonuses, and it's got this, and it's got that, and it does this, and it does that, and it pays 7 ways. You never want that. 2 ways max. Even in WGF, I'll tell you, the compensation plan is not where it should be, but there's always a solution for that too. Because now I'm realizing, like even for Good Life, and I'm watching all these other companies, I'm watching how they totally missed the boat on their compensation plans. So anyhow, that's what I think about this industry. As long as you're chasing, as long as you're ranking and doing all these ranks, that's not going to be for the average person. Like you said, Brett, how do we take the brand new person, the novice that's never seen a pyramid's compensation plan before outside of their payroll pyramid compensation plan that they're a part of in their daily corporate ritual that they do? That's a pyramid, right? Like sales have to be generated by a company in order to pay the receptionist, the janitor, this. It's really funny how people get pissed off about pyramids when they don't realize that you take the sales away from IBM or the government or anything. If you take the sales division away, your company does not, you don't get a paycheck on Friday, it's over. Sales have to be generated by everything.
I just did a social post a couple weeks ago, and I put the McDonald's structure on one side, and I put my structure as me as the CEO on the other side, right? And I highlighted the people at the bottom, because that's where 99% of the people are in the pyramid. The hourly rate that'll never promote, they'll never be the CEO of that scheme or whatever you want to call it, right? But when you do it and you build from the top down, you're the CEO, and there's lots more benefits to that.
And you can be the CEO in any position. Like everybody says, like in a pyramid scheme, that it's always the top person that gets paid. That's a bunch of crap. I've come into companies that were classified as pyramid schemes, legalized pyramid schemes, MLM, because everything is a pyramid scheme. Ponzi's the negative. Pyramid is good. If it's a pyramid scheme, it's great. Right. If it's a Ponzi, there. But anyhow, I've come into companies 4 years after the top dogs were in, and I'm down here and they're up there, but I'm making more money than them down here than they are up there. You know, and anyone could do it. You know, I've seen people even with the companies you guys are affiliated with. I know a guy that's in one of the companies that you and Blake are doing that's making about $3,000 a month right now, and his upline's not doing that.
Yep.
So the whole myth, the whole lie about, well, the person at the top makes all the money. That's a brain dead person. I used to be that person, the brain dead. That's why I know they're brain dead. They don't understand the dynamics of multi-level marketing. The person at the top does not make all the money, does not make the most money. It's impossible because of the mathematical dynamics that can take place in the lower levels of the compensation plan and also the qualificational ranks. People down below can be way more qualified than the people up top in ranks and, building up to blue diamond, black diamond, silver diamond, whatever it is. There's all kinds of variables. So, anyhow, most of what's been.
They should just remove the word scheme from that and just call it structure.
Yeah, structure. It's a pyramid structure for sure. Yeah, scheme is, well, it's just negative people that are douchebags that come up with all that stuff, right? Like the guy behind MLM.com, everything's a pyramid scheme to him. Why?
I can't even stand to read that crap.
He lives in Vietnam anyhow, right? And in Vietnam, they have they have trafficking children and stuff like that. That's probably answers that question there, why somebody would live in Vietnam of all places and post negative things on the internet. Anyhow, I better be careful what I say. I don't want to expose them too much. But anyhow, listen, I know we've gone a long time on this. What did we go? Did we go a little bit past? Yeah, I think we went.
Yeah, we did.
15 past. So it was fun. It was exciting. And Brett, thank you so much for taking the time to pop in here and just jam it out. And that's what these calls are. You know, it's not a structure. It's not like, hey, we're going to have a GoPro event here on stage in these rooms. This is just where you all get to be a fly on the wall and just sit back and listen. And for those of you that are seeing this on YouTube, or if you're seeing it in another Facebook group that we have out there, if you want to be a part of this group, there's no pitching in this group. There's no promoting. There's not going to be any messages going out saying, hey, you want to check out this company. We just keep it clean, and we just allow people to be and represent who they are and have their belief system and share their perspective of this industry. Good, bad, ugly, right, wrong, whatever, correct. It doesn't, we allow people freedom of speech here. So we're definitely, you know, in that realm. But if those of you want to be a part of this really cool group at MLM Rockstars, you know, we are MLM Rockstars Live. That's the name of the group. MLM Rockstars Live is our Facebook group. You're more than welcome to pop in there. For those of you that are watching this and see the value, like next week, I'll be bringing on Joel Terrian. He's a friend of mine. He's a bodybuilder out of Texas. He'll be on here. Joel and I go back. He's a Canadian. We go back many years. And, you know, Joel and I brainstorm on a daily basis and things like that. And I invited him, you know, to come for next weekend. So I wanted Brett here for this weekend. I thought, hey, I'm back. Get Brett on here. I promised Brett we would do this before. And then Robert, you'll be up sometime. And then Lisa Gilbert, a friend of mine out of Florida. She's a wonderful network marketer, has her own style of doing it without all the technology. And it'll be interesting to see what she does. She uses star power, Hollywood star power, to build her company. So great perspective there. So anyhow, MLM Rockstars Live is the name of our group, and feel free to share it with anyone you want that just wants to gain new knowledge, new perspective. There's going to be things you don't agree with that will be said in these presentations. So sad, too bad, who cares? I mean, we do care, but it's just the way it is. There's going to be things that people will say on this call that I don't agree with, even when I'm talking to them. I won't agree with their method of operation, but so sad, too bad, who cares? That's what works for them. We're all free to share. We're all free to have an opinion. We're all free to have a different perspective, or we all are free to believe what we know what's right and what's wrong, and so be it, right? What we argue for in life, all right, I'll share this with you. What we argue for in life, we get to keep. I get to keep my argument, you get to keep your argument, you know, and that's just the way it is. And nothing needs to change that unless we choose to get permission to a change somewhere down the road. So Brett, love you in spirit, brother. You're a good man. Take care of yourself, heal that body, get better, and look forward to rocking more things out with you along the way in this industry and our journey called the affiliate MLM home-based business industry. And for all of you that had the kindness to show up on tonight's call, and for those of you that are in the YouTube, and for those of you that are in the Facebook and the other group out there, love you all in spirit. Thanks for taking the time to show up. And if there's anyone, you know, I had this magazine very quickly. A lot of people say, you know, can I bring in some of the big names? I probably could. I've already interviewed a lot of the big names in this industry. I have a magazine that we created, you know, Legends VIP magazine, and I've interviewed like from the Ray Higdons. I know Russell Brunson was a student of mine, and you know, there's so many, Diane Hockman and all them. Only if a person is a part of this group, I want to interview them. I don't want to be going outside and bringing outsiders in just to brand them for no purpose at all. And I've already interviewed them in the past, and they were good interviews. They were definitely good interviews, you know, and then there were some great interviews with some people you wouldn't imagine. You wouldn't even know their names. They're great interviews, but the big names are usually good interviews. The ones that you don't know their names so much are usually the great interviews. That's something that shocked me. And that was something that I learned along the way of interviewing people over the years, that not all of them have what it takes to blow your mind. And you think you're going to be blown away, and you're not blown away, right? It's just a different way of them building a business. But anyhow, listen, what else do I need to say? Anything else, Brett? In closing, you want to say anything? Anything on your mind?
I just want to say, if you guys can make it next week for Joel, I would definitely be here for that. I just recently met him, and not in person, but you know,
yeah.
But yeah, I would definitely be here for that for sure.
Yeah, Joel's a good man, great guy. Yeah, just super human being. I've known Joel, I think we go back probably 18 years or so. He was a Canadian who migrated down to the United States and Texas. Him and his beautiful wife, maybe his wife might sneak in there. And Joel's just really impressive. And, he's a health buff. One thing we don't have in common, I'm not, and it's my lack. Anyone that's a health buff, congratulations. I think it's a beautiful thing. I just don't have an interest, and that's just one of my weaknesses. I have an interest in health, but I don't want to work out in the gym every day, and I don't want to be taking protein powders, and I don't want to be popping pills, and that's just something that I probably should learn how to do, but I'm too stubborn to want to learn. So that's all good. So listen, yeah, Joel's going to be an amazing interview next week. It's going to be fun. And his teeth are so white. They're beautiful. I don't know how much money he spent on his teeth, but they are so white. They look awesome. And I'm thinking of getting something done like that too. I just don't know how to do it. But anyhow, love y'all in spirit. You guys have an amazing day. All right. Bye for now.
Thanks,
Take
Val.
care. Thanks.